The news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Educators in Western Jamaica say they are approaching the 2018-2019 academic year with a renewed sense of optimism. This optimism stems from the willingness of parents to get involved in school activities and also what they are calling a more transparent and proactive approach on the part of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information and its regional bodies in engaging teachers, principals and other stakeholders in meaningful dialogue. Principal of the John Rollins Success Primary School in Barrettstown, St. James, Yvonne Williams Wisdom, noted that the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information must be commended for its unwavering commitment to the continuation of the lunch and breakfast programs for needy students, and also for being there to assist with preparations. The Education Minister touched on the school feeding program at yesterday's back-to-school press briefing held at the Ministry's Heroes Circle offices.
I know there's been some discussion recently about removing Nutribonds and Buller, but we had long gone past that because, the truth be told, only a very small, a handful of schools that were still receiving Bullers, and we had actually moved away from the Nutribond long ago. The preference is to provide a cooked meal per day for each child. And so when we took over the administration, we increased the allocation to PATH by 47%, if you recall. And what we have done is to say to the schools, provide meal for these children on PATH or ward of the state for the 5 days for the school week. Now, I was aware that many of these schools would have established canteens over the period and required support from parents. They were asking for contribution, payment, some of them say, to help pay some of the costs, particularly the costs of the cooks, because you need somebody to prepare the meal. We recognize that was a weakness, and we have moved now to correct that by ensuring that the government now is paying for all the cooks in those schools. So there's 1,007 cooks across the system that we are now paying for at a cost of $323.1 million.
The Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Senator Ruel Reid, says enough resources are in place for the start of the new school year next week. Senator Reid said funds covering rental books, school feeding programs and infrastructure have been distributed to schools that submitted requisitions and budgets. The comments were made at the annual back-to-school press brief held on Thursday.
We are optimistic that this will be a very good year for education of our young people at all levels of the system. As part of our general preparations, school plans have been renovated, furniture and other equipment have been provided, and most important, the first tranche of operational grants have been sent to our schools in good time to allow for the smooth reopening of our institutions. And since 2017, we have begun to ensure that schools get resources very early from June way into the start of the school year.
Senator Reid spoke on the issue of parent contribution, also known as auxiliary fees.
What we have done, particularly for high schools, is to expand the range of financial support to our school, particularly where schools had to require payments to help with paying part-time teachers and extra staff. We are paying all the teaching staff and support staff critical to delivering the core courses, core programs of our schools, and therefore there's no need to have what we call auxiliary fees. Overall, you can have a pool of development resources, and even so, schools can apply to the Ministry for Assistance in terms of critical repair or expansion, and that is why we can say, from a policy point of view, that it doesn't have to be, no need to be mandatory fees. Schools are adequately funded. If they're asking extra money, then it must be seen as optional, not mandatory.
More than $8 billion have been allocated for economically vulnerable students, including those on the PATH program. The Education Ministry has also expended $887 million for payment of part-time and temporary staff. Monies have also been allocated for 1,007 cooks. The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, has offered practical tips to shoppers on a tight budget that should assist as they make their back-to-school purchases. Speaking with JIS News, communications specialist at the CAC, Dorothy Campbell, said it might not be necessary to purchase several new sets of uniforms. Rather, she is recommended that parents check the conditions of the one the child has now to see if they still fit and the colors are not faded. She advised that when purchasing shoes, parents must make sure they are in compliance with school's guidelines and to buy shoes that are comfortable and durable. Also, it is recommended that parents purchase shoes that the child can grow into, so they should not fit too closely. When buying school bags, look at how practical and durable it is rather than style, and before the child begins using it. On the subject of textbooks, she said they should be wrapped. Do not mark their names across the pages until you are absolutely certain it is a book you will need and it is the right edition. In the event that you need to exchange it at the bookstore or return it after a couple of weeks. Cabinet has approved the award of a contract to Modern Investigation and Security Limited in the sum of $126.91 million for the provision of private security services over a period of 3 years at the Bellevue Hospital. Minister of Information Senator Ruel Reid made the announcement at post-cabinet press briefing Wednesday at Jamaica House. He also informed that Kingston Industrial Garage has been approved for a contract for the purchase of 12 garbage compactors for the National Solid Waste Management Authority. The contract has also been awarded for the provision of consulting services for the implementation of Financial Information Management System by the National Water Commission to Fujitsu Caribbean Limited.
The contract is valued at $2,839,419 United States dollars and 17 cents. This contract will include provision of the following services: off-the-shelf FIM software, platform service to host the FIM application, and implementation and advisory services, support and maintenance for 4 years following implementation, and a data migration strategy.
In regional news, there is hope that a nationwide strike by teachers in Guyana could be cancelled. They say the strike regarding pay increases could be put off if the Education Ministry agrees to arbitration. We have more in this report.
There has been an impasse between the GTU's position and the Ministry of Education's position on the way forward. They are insisting that they want conciliation, and we are insisting that the conciliation process has been compromised, which to some extent has been admitted by the Ministry of Labor. And it is the Ministry of Education now to decide to meet the GTU's terms. And once those terms are met, we have gotten our release that we are prepared to call the strike off immediately should those conditions be satisfied.
Following the meeting at the Labor Department on Brickdam, the GTU president also said the union would be willing to call off the strike completely if the Education Ministry agrees to move the process to arbitration.
No, the ball is in their court. We indicated to them that if they call us midnight tonight, we'll be ready.
The Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union, Coretta McDonald, read a full statement to the Chief Labor Officer detailing the union's position. In that statement, the union provided some of the terms of reference that it would like to see as part of the arbitration process.
We just want to say to our teachers, the struggle continues, and parents, general public out there, we trust that you would understand our position, and our position is we are willing to call the strike off as early as midnight tonight, providing that the Ministry of Education, they are willing to accept our term.
In sports, with 2 emphatic wins already in the bag, Jamaica's senior reggae girls will go in search of another when they square off against Trinidad and Tobago in the final round CONCACAF Caribbean Women's Qualifiers top-of-the-table clash inside the National Stadium today. Game time is at 7 p.m. Before that, Bermuda tackle Antigua and Barbuda in the curtain raiser at 4 p.m. The Jamaicans currently lead the 5-team playoff on 6 points and a very healthy goal difference. They are ahead of Trinidad and Tobago, also on 6, while Bermuda and Antigua will be hunting their first point of the campaign. Third place, Cuba, who are also on 6 points, will be idle today. And that's the news. I'm Simone Absalom. Do have a pleasant day.